Hello, I'm Gabriela Antequera, an English teacher for sixth graders. In this workshop video, I'll design a role play where students buy food in a market, practicing how many apples for countable items and how much rice for uncountable ones, plus quantifiers like some, a few, or a kilo of. I'll apply all five formative practices from Dr. Lopez conferences to make it responsive and engaging. So, from Dr. Lopez, the practices are number one, elicit evidence through activities. Number two, provide feedback that moves uh, learning forward, that advances learning. Number three, activate students as learning resources for each other, uh, especially for the peers. Number four, activate students as owners of their own progress, of their learning. Number five, use evidence to adapt um, instruction, our teaching specifically. In my 20-minute role play, every step with this in no end of unit tests needed. Now the classroom becomes a market, 12 students, pairs of vendor and buyer with printed food pics, apples, countable, rice, uncountable, bread, uh, vendors say prices, buyers ask or negotiate how much for a kilo of rice, I want a few apples, and they will rotate roles after 5 minutes for a balanced practice. So the practice one, which is elicit evidence, I will walk around with a checklist, noting quantifier errors like confusing how many for rice, which is uncountable, no interrupting, just data collection in this case. And the practice two, which is to provide feedback. In this feedback will be quick and specific comments and whispers to the peers more specifically, like perfect, how much for rice, or like for apples, try how many since they're countable. It will be specific again, but positive, and it will push us next steps without any judgment to the students itself. An example dialogue on this will be like the vendor would say $2 a kilo, then the buyer student would say how many kilos. If there's any error feedback, I would say try how much for kilos. So this is something that the feedback will be provided very specific and quick. For practice, uh, third, third practice, activate students as resources, peers as resources, buyers prompt like remember liquids use how much, and then with the desk cards on their desk with just sentences, short sentences that they can use like I need that much of, or this will help them self correct alongside the process of it. um, and just using this sentence says will allow them not to forget also grammatically how they can organize the sentences when they're trying to talk. As the fourth practice is activate students as owners. They will mark clipboards, will have some sort of page of that they could take with them, mark, and in this case, I would say something like got 4 or 5 quantifiers right, and it's also something that the kids will start to navigate towards and just reflect mid activity what they are doing correct or not, and it would right away show how they are either applying the correct words, and the whole process will be I they do that, they say a something, they say a sentence, and instead of at the end of the class reviewing what they said wrong, they would right away make amends of what they're saying. So it shifts this dynamic that the teacher needs to tell them what they are doing wrong, but this acknowledges them to reflect on their activity mid practice. Now the practice five, an adaptation, will be based on evidence mostly. If let's say if 70% meets many, how many, much, or just in general there are some specific errors, we'll pause for 2 minutes to have like a visual sort of explanation on accountable versus uncountable with pics and photos itself. It's just this 2 minute mini lesson will be special because it would just give them like a refresh on the matter itself. Um, let's say that some students are really good at this process, so they would add different type of um, bargainings. Let's say that they would start trying to um, be themselves like a buyers and try to come up with different solutions like I fewer apples for less. So this type of things can also be from pairs that are strong with their vocabulary. And just in the next lesson we'll also reteach subgroups with perhaps extension games, different a different lesson that will help them just review what they did wrong, what they did right. So it's important before just do the initial instructions, which are the standard lesson on canon and countdowns. The role play begins again. The feedback is general, but it will be provided. There should usually be a common issue. Sometimes there, again, the students' misuse of how many for uncountable nouns and etc. So after that, we will be adapting the instructions again to the 2 minute mini lesson on specific errors. The visual aids will help them as well associate the concepts with the actual words and grammatic, and again we could extend the task or the role play itself for strong groups of students I would like to continue on. And just again, um, next classes will reteach weak areas for in this case something that they need to work on, any vocabulary that they perhaps they would have loved to talk about. So yeah, so this phone market theme motivates sixth graders improving quantifier use. I would say before that was 70%. You this accuracy could go up. I would say almost to 85%, 90%. It will depend, of course, of the on the type of students that we have, but um, this is important because it would help them a lot during the process. So this design suits a lot of sixth graders. It's fun, it's visual, collaborative. It boosts speaking confidence, especially to on this age, and also quantifier accuracy through ongoing checks from the teacher, right? Not just tests at the end of the practice, but throughout the process so that they can review. So, thanks for watching. This shows formative assessment in action for real language growth. And if there's any questions, you can let me know. Thank you.